when and why did digital become such a priority? Like, when was that shift and why are you all betting on that so heavily?
I think Crocs has always been a digital first brand. Ever since I've arrived, at least, I've always seen the conversation be very focused around the digital space. And I think that's just because the brand is so focused on our consumer and how important they are to us. So if you look at the digital space, you have that opportunity to have that one-to-one conversation with the customer immediately. So within seconds, you have feedback from the customer and you can understand what they need from you and you can make changes to how you're showing up for them. So I'd say we've always had that perspective. And then we've always been very flexible and adaptable in market with the consumer. So again, digital just kind of lends itself initially to that conversation right off the bat for the brand. And then we were very digital focused before the pandemic, but obviously the pandemic for every brand made us think harder, how we could get smarter, how we could get quicker, how we could really let the customer self-service, because every customer's needs were more vast and different as we went through this period of time. So focusing and leaning into digital not only let us learn from them quickly, but also let us provide different opportunities for them to self-service, choose their path on how to engage with us. And that was kind of, I'd say, like how we really propelled and how the consumer really saw that opportunity to engage with us one-to-one and us to them one-to-one.
Yeah. I mean, when everything's moving so quickly like that, I love to hear stories around like what tests went well and you're still doing it today, and what were things where you're like, oh, we moved a little too quick on that one and we probably should have thought that through. So any stories to kind of highlight those quick efforts that you've been making over the past couple of years?
I think free shoes is probably our most notable, I'd say, adventure that we went on. It was kind of the very beginning of the beginning of the pandemic. Our CEO had this great idea to give free Crocs to health workers, and it was this great moment in which we were able to spin this up within 5 days, service our community that was asking for it. So family members, specific members were all asking for Crocs during this time. We were able to do it. We ended up donating, I think we ended up with 20,000 pairs a day. We ran this for 2 months. And then we have continued to do this initiative. It's something we bring back every single year. And we do it during Nurses Week in May with the brand. And so it's something that has now become a very special part of this brand and a moment that we really get to come back to every year. But within 5 days, we were able to put all the technology up, service this community, and keep it running for a long period of time inside the pandemic. So I'd say that was our most exciting moment. That's kind of stayed with the brand. Things that didn't go well, I think we tried a lot of new technology. We tried to innovate. We tried to move quickly. And some stuff worked and some stuff didn't. I think you see that all the time with digital, so it wasn't anything that was necessarily new to us. But we definitely had our moments of experimentation that the customer responded to, and sometimes they didn't. So there's those moments for sure.
Yeah. Do you care to share any details around some of those, like one that maybe sticks out to you? I mean, I ask these questions because I feel like there's so many good lessons in the failures. That's like, at least if someone knows these like things that have happened, they can maybe be like, I'll choose a different path next time, or I'm gonna not do that. So are there any stories that you can share?
I think coming out of the initial part of the pandemic, right, where it was lockdown was intensified, and we tried to launch a lot of technology, pretty big investments, I would say. We tried to kind of just lean into all of that, and we didn't, I think, scope properly the amount of time that these technologies would take to implement. So we thought, we can invest in this stuff. We have the time, we have the innovation, we have the moment with our customer. And then we ended up trying to invest in too much at one time. And so we ended up kind of that taking too long to get there because we were investing in so much. So instead of focusing, iterating, and moving, we took quite a bit of time to launch, I'd say, bigger projects that we probably could have split up in pieces and reduced our ambition a little bit on that side of things. So
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely a theme that I've heard, especially with all the new technologies that are out right now. And it's like so tempting to want to be like, I'm going to try a little bit of this and this and this. And I mean, how do you and your team stay focused to not get, like, still dabble maybe and understand what's going on around you without being so ambitious where you're like, oh, shoot, I just like took on about 10 years worth of projects in 6 months.
I think it always goes back to something that's not new, but it's something that you have to always remind yourself of, is the MVP. It's so making sure that you circle back to not trying to launch every feature inside of this new opportunity or trying to make the scale so massive that it accounts for every use case that you can think of, is to keep things small at first and get it out in market, and then let that tool allow you to learn so that you can sit there and say, okay, this is what the consumer is telling us about this feature. This is what they want from it. And then making those modifications instead of trying to scope it all off the bat, launching it and then realizing it might not work with the consumer. You might have to make changes, and now you just spent 6 months out of market trying to launch something. So I'd say being focused on the MVP, and then prioritization, always prioritizing, it has to happen every day on our team because the market shifts so much. The needs of the commercial teams shift so much that if you're not looking at your backlog every day, if you're not reprioritizing or having those conversations and being adaptable, then you're gonna miss an opportunity because you're so focused on the stuff that's happening in a month. And then you don't have the ability to move with the market.
Hey, thanks for watching. This segment was made possible by our friends at Salesforce Commerce Cloud. If you're looking for the #1 platform for all your commerce needs, go check out salesforce.com/commerce. And don't forget to subscribe below and tap that little bell icon so you can stay on top of all the amazing new segments and full episodes that we'll be putting out over the coming year with some of the best and most influential commerce leaders out there.